Morning, everyone, and welcome to the February 21st, 2019 Cumberland Commissioners Workshop meeting. Please stand and join me in the pledge of allegiance by saying, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Call this meeting to order at 9 a.m. and at this time open the floor to public comments. Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to agenda item 3, and I'll call on Mr. DeFilippo to present Bethany Woodward with an award for 25 years of service to Cumberland County. Bethany and DJ Burbeck, please come forward.
Quarter century.
Hi.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, everybody. We are here to celebrate Bethany's 25 years of service to the county. She was hired in November 1994 as a legal secretary 2, transferred to permanent legal secretary 2 position later that year. In March 2006, was promoted to administrative supervisor. Bethany, congratulations on being here.
Thank you.
Cumberland County.
Thank you.
I'd like to say that.
We just appreciate the opportunity, and I enjoy working for Cumberland County. Thank you.
Sir, anything you'd like to say?
Bethany's been an exemplary employee for the last 25 years. Back in 1994, Justin Bieber was born, Joel Embiid was born, and Bethany Woodward started here. We hope to have her for another 25 years. She's just a fantastic representative of the county. Thank you, Bethany.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Somebody get a phone out.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys, for being
Here
here.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Here we go.
You should be in that picture too.
Come on in. Come on in, please.
Could you guys center for the kitchen?
Yes, right.
There
You just made
Politician.
Good timing.
It's great.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. I'll get it close for 1. 1, 2. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Would you all excuse me?
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
That's it.
Okay.
Sitting here in this truck.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, moving on to agenda item 4, I'll call on Ron Mascanella and Kimberly Vaughn to discuss resolution 2019 for the Wellspan project. Commissioners, you should have handouts.
Thank you for seeing us today. I'm Kim Zahn, and this is John Messinelli. We're from Wellspan Health. We very recently were from Summit Health, but now we were from Wellspan Health, so we appreciate you talking with us today. We're going to talk about very briefly the financing and ask that you approve the resolution that I believe you have. Okay. So in the handout, just go through this very quickly. Wellspan Health and Summit Health became affiliated on October 31st, 2018, so it's a very recent affiliation. We are 8 hospitals, including Chambersburg Hospital. We have 18 urgent care sites, including the Shippensburg Urgent Care Site. Over 170 patient care locations, including the Shippensburg Family Care location. Our Summit Health office has a location for specialist care in Carlisle, and we also have Summit Health specialists rotating through our Shippensburg location for community care. On page 3, you will see our market share, which the dark blue area is what we consider our primary market share, and you can see how it extends into the southwest corner of Cumberland County. As well, the tertiary market share, where we have 5% market share, really extends to almost all of Cumberland County, as does a certain segment of the secondary market share. So we believe that Cumberland County is certainly a very strategic market share for Summit Health and for WellSpan Health. John?
Moving on to the next page. Yeah, and just to add to what Kim said, around 10% of our workforce actually is from the Shippensburg area. So that. We own 3 properties in Cumberland County at this point, one of which we've had in place just after Bethany's employment with the county. Since 95. And that's on Walnut Bottom Road. We've actually had services in Shippensburg since 1988, but we actually built in 1995. We just purchased 2 properties in December, one of which was an existing medical office building in which we were leasing space, and the other is a 12-acre parcel adjacent to that building as well for future growth. The Progress Boulevard building, which is one of the building we purchased in December, we were already leasing space there for mobile MRI services and some ultrasound services. Our intent there is to add, renovate some space and to add specialist services in that building. That's around a 21,000 square foot building. And again, we have adjacent property to that. On Walnut Bottom Road, we have urgent care, ancillary services, which include physical therapy, occupational therapy, x-ray and manual, and blood draw. And our intent there is to relocate the specialists from that building to the Progress building, expand family practice in that location, and continue to offer urgent care there as well.
I think it's always important to note that we pay property taxes on all these buildings and intend to continue to pay property taxes on all these buildings. I think that's always an interest to the citizens of the county. On the last page, just talking about the financing objectives. Our objectives are to achieve some refunding savings. There's a very narrow window of ability to refinance some bond issues after an affiliation. There's a 6-month window after an affiliation date during which you can refund bonds and achieve those savings. Those savings are estimated at about $17 million for WellSpan Health, so we are trying to take advantage of that. In addition, we will eliminate some risk with respect to some bullets that are part of some of the existing financing that we are refunding. Plus, we are going to issue about $150 million of new money, which will go to some of the projects that John discussed and some of the other projects that WellSpan has. So the plan of finance is to refund our 2010 bonds and also our 2014 step coupon bonds, and the pricing for which is going to happen mid-March and close by the end of March. So we are visiting all our counties that are affected by the bonding, and all our counties that are affected by our services during this week and next week to go over the resolution. I would be glad to sort of discuss the resolution if you would like me to very quickly in a 1-minute point of view. Would that be helpful?
You can.
Okay. So the resolution really asks for the approval of the bonds and to be done so through the General Authority of Southern Pennsylvania. That's the authority that WellSpan has typically used for their bonds. And it is the authority that can represent all the counties that are associated with those bonds. So this speaks about the authority has approved the financing plan, and I believe that you received not only the Tucker notice that was published in the Sentinel. You have copies of that as well. And the Tucker meeting was held on the 20th, which was 2 days ago. Yesterday. Losing track of time. Thank you. We will finance up to $600,000 in financing. That's included in the resolution. 600 million. I have a K there. Sorry.
3
600.
zeros.
It's a little bit of a difference. isn't it? 600 million. It is for refunding and also new money for several projects. The bottom paragraph talks about the temporary hearings. I think one of the most important things is section 5 on page 2. The credit of the county is not to be used. There is no liability for payment with respect to the county. It's all on, with respect to Los Angeles. And I think that's really the gist of the resolution.
These are, we have seen similar resolutions come through to us, I know. In a non-legal way, I read this, I had no issues with it. Keith, have you, I'm sure you've reviewed, if you have any issues.
I have no issues.
Any other questions?
Thank you
Thank you
very
guys
much.
for coming out.
Thank you. Good luck with you.
Have a safe trip back.
Thank you very much.
Next, we move on to agenda item 5, and I'll call on Nina Rose to discuss the memorandum of understanding between Penn State University and Penn State Extension of Cumberland County. Nina?
Go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. See you, folks.
Good morning. I have Donna Shearer with me today. Donna is our new client relationship manager and works with the Extension Council here in the county. So we bring forward this revised MOU. It has been reviewed by Closure Council and Penn State Council, and it's an agreement for a 3-year term. From our previous conversations last year with you, we reworked it, incorporated your suggestions and ideas, and we'd like to bring this forward for your approval and consideration.
And just so everyone's clear, Nina, we did not change anything with the employees.
No, that's correct.
Originally, I think the discussion had ensued where there was discussion going back and forth where they were either county employees or Penn State employees. They are now remaining county employees. The only thing that has changed is the period
Yes.
of the length of the contract.
Correct. And there was some little bit of language changed, updated, for example, where it said Penn State, it needed to say Pennsylvania State University, those types of things.
Any questions, Commissioner?
A 3-year term, so at the end of 3 years, we have to renegotiate, or it remains the same with somebody?
Well, I believe that, my thoughts are that at the end of 3 years, we would revisit it, you know,
Okay.
to see if there were any
Right.
updates
That's fine.
or changes needed.
Sure.
Right.
It's not self.
It's not self-renewing, thank you, that's what I was looking for.
Right.
That's fine.
Yeah, we just touch base
Right.
every 3 years.
Okay.
Any other questions, Commissioner?
I'm good.
Okay, thank you both.
Thank
Thank you.
Next, we'll move on to agenda item 6, which is contracts and grants. Agenda item 6, from numeral 1, A to B, are existing contracts, contract extensions, or addendums with no additional cost or increase to the county. They include the following departments: Children and Youth, and Claremont Nursing and Rehabilitation Center. Commissioners, do you have any questions, comments, or concerns regarding any of the above-mentioned agreements? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to agenda item 6, Roman numeral 2, which consists of new contracts, vendors, services, range of contracts with increases or decreases to the county. And I'd like to call on Anita Bruce to discuss the agreement for CASA. Anita?
Good morning. Would you like us, are we okay back here? I brought my pal, Adam. On behalf of the CASA program, we're requesting actually new software to help us manage all kinds of reports and tracking of data. And we've been using an old program called CASA Manager, which we really struggled with for the past couple of years. We've been working with IMTO at least since 17, trying to see if they could help us develop our own kind of program, and the most logical thing is to just invest in a new program. We've done a lot of research on it. It appears to be very comprehensive. It is something that is built by CASA for CASA. It's used throughout the United States by other programs. There is a cost to it. We've really not asked for a lot of, we don't want to spend a lot of money for a volunteer program. But the other option would be to upgrade old program that we have as Casa Manager. It would be comparable, and actually it would be a little more expensive actually to use Casa Manager and to upgrade it. The new program is a little bit cheaper per year, but it will cost $2,300 to convert 18 years worth of our old data. So there is a cost to it. We are excited at the idea. One of the biggest things that we're excited about is right now only one person in our office really knows how to use Casa Manager. It is very clunky. It is not easy to use. I won't touch it. Pam is the only person in our office who will use it. With the new program with Optima, it is supposed to be very interactive, and all of our Casa volunteers can be trained to put in their own data, which will free up time on Pam to do other Casa-related work besides data entry. It's supposed to generate all kinds of amazing reports for National Casa and for our reports that we do every year. And there's an interesting thing because it is Casa-driven. For example, there's a new survey that's coming out for National Casa with a question about what brought the children into dependency care in the first place. And so that kind of question can be tracked right into Optima, and they can get universal data from all the programs. So those are things that even if we asked Adam to create something, it would be really hard to match the level that Optima will be able to provide. And CASAs, again, can put in their own data. So I think all around, we're very excited at the opportunity to maybe purchase this.
So, do you have training with this?
Correct. They
So
provide
that's-
training. Yeah.
So this $2,300, that includes the training?
Yes. Everything, one thing that I've heard consistently is this is very upfront. They tell you this is what it's going to cost, but everything that they provide, customer service, the training, everything that they have is what you pay for. So as compared to other programs, I understand that they have an upgrade, and then there's a charge for that you don't know is coming. So
So if you have a problem then and you need to go back to them, they don't charge you extra?
correct.
for that?
They charge, it's a, I forget what the word is, a subscription plan. So for $150 a month, you can have up to 99 CASA volunteers subscribe to the program, and it's a flat fee. So you can have 30 CASAs or 90 CASAs. It's built in already.
Commissioners, do you have any questions?
I'm looking next to the line where it says available budget, yes, and then there's a bunch of numbers. What are those numbers? Does anybody know their account numbers?
They might,
So
yes, I
there's-
might have put in what the account is.
Their account number.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's $4,100 is the contract?
For 1 year, for this year. After that, it is $1,800 per year. So the extra money this year is just because we have to convert the data
Mhm.
from Casa Manager into Optima.
Okay, that's the fee you're talking about, essentially,
Right.
$1,800 a year.
Right.
Any other questions?
Good.
Thank you, Anita.
Count
Thank you.
numbers.
Thank you, Adam.
Next, Melissa Smith will be joining us, video teleconferencing to discuss the ICON agreement for Claremont Nursing Rehabilitation Center. And then Lauren Rutledge will discuss the Healthcare Academy contract. Melissa?
Good morning, everyone. I have before you a contract with ICON, which is the standard nursing agency contract. The rates are very comparable and less than what the average rates have been running for the other agencies that we are contracted with. Hopefully this is the last contract we'll need with the agency.
Do you have any questions, Commissioner?
Where's the actual contract? All we have again is a piece
I
of paper
have,
saying,
I have the contract.
has it been reviewed?
Yes.
Yeah, all the contracts are reviewed, yes.
Melissa, I'm assuming that the total here is contingent on whether or not we need the services, is that right?
Absolutely. I wish there was a better way to present these agency contracts, that you're basically approving the rates of the contract. Hopefully we won't use that large number there.
Okay. And how many agencies do we now have under contract?
We have, this will make the 11th agency that we would be contracted with.
11 agencies. Wow.
Yes. There are a couple that we don't use, but it would have contracts with them.
Okay. How do we determine which agency we choose when we have a need?
Quite honestly, I have given the scheduling department, they're the ones that make the calls. I've given the scheduling department a list of agencies and the rates. And they do try to go with the lowest rates at first, but probably what it ends up being mostly is who has the people to fill the shifts that we need.
Okay.
Melissa, just so I'm clear on that, I think I already know this, I think all commissioners do, but it would not be unusual for our staff out there to have to call multiple agencies to get the slots filled on any given shift, is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You're absolutely right.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Melissa? Okay, thank you, Melissa. Is Lori there?
She is. I've got to turn the computer. There you go.
Hi, I'm Lori. I'm new staff development manager. And I'm here to talk about Healthcare Academy, which is our the e-learn system we want to implement. It's a web-based system which provides education for our staff in a standardized manner. It's a way of tracking to make sure all our staff get the mandatory federal education that they need. It also is very good for our licensed staff because it will provide CEU programs that we need for our nursing license that we can't get without our, for nurses we have to have 30 hours of CEUs every year. I wasn't here at the initial planning phase, but I know they did look at several other programs. They looked at Reliance, which is significantly higher in cost than Healthcare Academy. I'm very familiar with Reliance. I've worked with that in the past. I did look at Healthcare Academy since I've been here. It is a good program. It will meet all our needs. It is a very good way we can track all our mandatory training. We can make sure all our competencies are tracked. So if the state comes in, like it is this time, and asks for a specific person's education, we can pull it up at a glance and tell them everything that person attended. And we can document. For our CNAs, they have to have 12 hours of documented training a year. And this will help provide that training and help us track it. We can also develop some of our own programs and put it on the program and have compliance that way also. I did look at one other program that my MPO did recommend, but it was more for outpatient setting and wouldn't have met any of our long-term care goals. And this program from Healthcare Academy is specific for long-term care. So it would definitely meet all our needs for training.
Any questions?
Any questions?
Is this a one-year contract?
It is a 3-year contract.
In the future, can we get that information on these? Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
On the loss and paperwork, they're just saying that if it's a 1-year contract, you should note that. If it's a 3-year contract, you should note that.
Our contract, I think, is for 3 years. It's for 3 years.
Any other questions?
Do we need to notify our departments or whatever to make that kind of, there should be a notation or even a check the box kind of thing. There should be something on a regular basis. Vince raises a very good point. It helps us understand the true cost if we know how long a period of contract is for.
Yes, and I'll have to get a hold of Dana because we have to work on this full to get that.
I don't want to, you do say here this is a contract that's new. It might be helpful too if we knew, we're replacing an old contract, I presume, right? We had previous service for the education subscription through another provider. Is that correct? I mean, we had somebody else providing us with this before?
You currently do not have any kind of e-work system here for education.
Okay, so we have not, so that's why this is new, all right? So,
And it does stay on there, there's no previous contract in that black box.
okay,
On the loss of paperwork, it does have a contract end date of 12/31/21. I know it's not easily accessible, but
okay, well, maybe it would be helpful if we had like a description as to the need for this, what it's intended to accomplish. If we didn't have this before, I mean, I'd like to know, well, okay, do we really need this? And how did we accomplish whatever education was provided before? Or we didn't? I just would like to understand a little bit as to the need. I mean, it all sounds good, but.
Yeah, I can tell you in the past year, we are not meeting our education needs. It's very difficult to document. Over 300 staff members have attained every one of the educations that's required. Basically, they've been trying to do it on paper, but I went through all last year's paperwork, and we don't have the documentation to support all the training for over 300 staff members.
Okay. And is this an obligation normally that this is like continuing education?
Yes, it provides continuing education. It provides all the mandatory annual trainings that are required. They update them with the current standards. So everything that we'd be showing the staff is all current information and is the current standards.
All right. Now, do the employees themselves, in order to keep their, I guess the right word might be certification, does this normally fall on the employees themselves, or so are we now providing a new service to our employees? That's what I'm trying to get at. In other words, they don't have to do this. They don't have to do this themselves
It's
now.
kind of a combination. Like, for me as a nurse, I'm responsible to make sure I get my seniors for my certification. But a lot of times we would send, like most those I work have provided, like they would send you away to classes to get your seniors. But they might not help with all of them, but they would help with a certain percentage by sending them out to educational classes. So you have the cost of the class, cost of transportation, but it's kind of like a hybrid where we pay for part of it and some facilities will help with that cost. But it's not mandated for our seniors that they're provided by the facility we work for. But we are required to provide 12 hours of education to our CNAs every year.
Okay. And that's what
And
this.
that is a federal requirement.
That's what this does.
It will provide, yes, I can track and provide all the education I need for my seniors through the program. Not seniors, but for education, my 12 hours of education for the CNAs can all be provided through the system.
And we were previously not meeting that federal requirement?
I was not here, so I could not say. I could say I could not find any documentation of it for the past year.
Okay, I guess for now.
Okay. All right, thank you, Lori.
Thank you.
Next, we'll move on to agenda item C, and Aaron Granderman will be discussing agreement with the district attorney's office. Eric?
Good morning, Commissioners. The contract before you is to provide DNA services for the DA's office. We currently have a vendor. We found Bodie Laboratories of Sterling, Virginia provides a superior service at a comparable or less price, smaller price than what we pay now. So we're looking to establish a relationship with those who are DNA work. A lot of our DNA work.
Okay, so Eric, on this loss of paperwork, it says not to exceed $20,000.
be replacing someone else?
Yes.
Who would that be replacing?
A lot of we use now is NMS laboratories. So we still use NMS for laboratory work, but we won't be using it for DNA anymore.
So does their price then decrease?
Yes,
By how much?
the amount of what we're paying Boeing, in other words, we're just paying somebody else instead of paying NMS.
I guess the question is, do we know what the net you said it would be less. Do we know what the net savings is? I didn't see it captured.
I didn't capture the amounts. It's not a lot different. I mean, it's pretty close. It's just slightly less. They just offer superior services, whatever we're looking for.
Just all that should be part of the information provided to us.
I can pull that here with the Sandy then. I have to do that.
Any other questions, Commissioner? This is one year contract.
Yes.
Any other questions? Okay, thanks, Eric.
Thanks, Eric.
Sure, thank you.
Next, we'll move on to agenda item D, and Kirk Stoner is joining us video teleconferencing to discuss the HRD agreement. Kirk?
Good morning, Commissioners. This is our retainer agreement with HRG. In addition to providing our bridge inspection services, this agreement allows HRG to assist us on a variety of basic services and activities that are listed in the agreement. In addition, if we have other studies that we want to have them do, this agreement enables us to do that. For the Section 1, the basic services, we've capped that at $187,000 for 5 years. For Section 2, that any activities conducted under that would be time and materials. They'd be submitting a separate scope of work for those activities. The agreement would run from 2019 through 2023.
Any questions for Kirk regarding that? Okay, since we have multiple items for Kirk, I'd like to move to agenda item H under recycling and waste grant, and Kirk will discuss the recycling coordinator reimbursement agreement, and then followed by agenda item 7, which is a letter to the Department of Agriculture regarding the Chem Sweep contract, and then agenda item 8 regarding the appointment recommendation for the HAT committee. All right, Kirk.
Okay, wow, busy morning here. So the recycling and waste grant, that's our Act 101 grant that pays for half the salary of our recycling coordinator. What we need here is the Commissioner's approval to submit the application, and then your signature on a hard copy, and also the authority for staff to sign the electronic application. So this is a typical process that we've done in past years to support our recycling coordinator's salary.
Any questions for Kirk on that grant? Okay, Kirk, you can move to the next one.
Okay, the next one then is a grant application to the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture to use Chem Sweep as a contractor for our household hazardous waste event. It allows us to be reimbursed up to $20,000 for pesticides that will be collected as part of that event. As you're aware, we're reworking that event this year to have it, instead of being a one-day event, having a several-day event where we would charge a fee. Just want to be coming back to you guys with more information on the process for that, looking for your approval.
Are there any questions on agenda item 7?
Kirk, when do you think you and Joe will have an update for us?
Sure. It may be scheduled already, Gary, one of the finance meetings, I believe maybe in March.
All right, so it's imminent.
Yeah, it's pretty much ready to go, and I met with
Okay.
Joe recently. It's pretty much there.
Great, thanks.
Any other questions on that one? Okay, go ahead on to agenda item 8, Kirk.
Okay, Commissioners, as you're aware, with the Harrisburg Area Transportation Study, we have a technical committee and a coordinating committee. I currently serve on the technical committee as our primary delegate. Jeff Kelly served as my alternate. With his retirement, I wanted to see if the board was interested in filling that seat. I was suggesting Elizabeth Grant, who's our new hire. She has extensive experience with Franklin County's MPO, is really familiar with the processes and procedures that go on with the operations of NPO.
Any questions for Kurt?
Kirk, I have no problem with it, but I mean, you're still planning to attend most of those technical committee meetings. This would only be when you, for whatever reason, cannot attend or have a conflict.
Yes, you're right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Kirk, is Stephanie there with you?
She is.
Okay. Next agenda item, Stephanie Williams will be discussing 7 land partnership agreements. Stephanie?
Good morning.
Thanks, Stephanie.
Yes, these are 7 land partnerships agreements. The actual grant award was previously approved by the board on September 24th, 2018. So this is simply formalizing the grant agreement and signing off on the contract so they can move forward with their project.
Does anyone have any questions for Stephanie? Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Next, we'll move on to agenda item F and call on Travis to discuss the agreement with President Travis.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is a new contract for the annual fire alarm inspection with Johnson Controls Simplex. The contract cost for 2019 is $4,326, a decrease of $2,054 from the 2018 cost of $6,380. It's a 3-year contract, and as explained to me, it will be a savings of over $6,000 over the 3-year contract.
Any questions? Thank you, Travis.
Thank you.
Next, move on to agenda item D, and Claudia is joining us video teleconferencing to discuss the emergency management performance fee grant, followed by the hexagon agreement. Claudia?
Good morning, everyone. Public Safety is asking for the board's approval to submit an application for the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Agency EMPG, Emergency Management Performance Grant, for the performance period of October 1st, 2018 through September 30th, 2019, in the amount of $112,519.44. This is an annual submission for reimbursement of federal grant that will be utilized to offset the salary and benefits for 2 full-time positions on our team for up to 50%. This is going to be completed through the e-grant system, so in the next few weeks, you will be receiving, sorry, in the next few weeks, you'll be receiving that email that we'll need to make that application. We'll enter the data and we'll need your e-signature then. We do not have a time frame on that because FEMA is still working on the website for that.
We'll be fine. We'll be fine.
I appreciate your patience with it.
Okay, are we good with that one? Commission, we can move on to the next one. Go ahead, Claudia, you can go on to the next agenda item.
All right, great. So just a few months ago, we presented the capital project for a new CAD system. And what you have before you is an agreement that we're for a purchase contract for your review and approval for a replacement of the computer-aided dispatch known as CAD software system from Hexagon Safety and Infrastructure for a not-to-exceed cost of $1,844,820.78, and that will include the first year's maintenance and warranty. This is a brand new software solution that will replace our current system, and it will meet the needs of our operation, be reliable, user-friendly, and integrated with the interfaces we currently use, including a mobile interface for the field agencies. The decision to choose Hexagon was based upon presentations, scenario-based demonstrations, feedback surveys, and site visits to some of the current customers, and documentation that well demonstrated the capabilities of the identified crucial and critical functions of the efficient CAD solution. So again, it's $1,844,820.78 of a not to exceed, including the first year's maintenance and warranty.
Any questions for Claudia? Thank you, Claudia.
Thank Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Yeah.
Okay, now we'll move on to Commissioners' liaison reports.
After a brief interview, your favorite music.
And we'll begin with Commissioner DeFilipo.
Thanks, Amy. I have one report, and that's the Western Cumberland Council of Governments that took place February 11th. Not too much going on. Big Springs School District did elect, they reorganized their school board. Bill Swanson was appointed as president. Todd Beal was appointed as the vice president. John Wardle was a new member replacing Wilbur Wolf. In Dickinson Township, the Board of Supervisors completed the subdivision and land development ordinance update. We'll be forwarding that to the Planning Commission. In Lower Frankfurt, the comprehensive zoning ordinance was rewritten and is complete and will probably be adopted April or May. And that is it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner DeFilipo. Commissioner Herzler.
Thanks, Sandy. The County Commissioners Association of Pennsylvania held a conference call last Friday morning that Vince and I and several staff members were able to sit in on, and it was aimed at going over the governor's budget proposal with respect to its impact on counties. For the most part, once again, counties are expected to do more with less, as flat funding from the state is once again the norm, and counties have to figure out how to make ends meet in the face of unavoidable rising costs for programs and services that are required by the state. The governor's proposed partial state funding to help counties pay for the state mandated requirement that we purchase new voting machines this year to be in place by next year's presidential primary election. Unfortunately, the governor's proposal provides funding of $15 million annually over 5 years for a total of $75 million is not adequate to meet the estimated $150 million statewide cost of voter machine replacement this year. There's also been a question relative to relying on a proposal that spaces it out over 5 years, because essentially I don't know how you can require a future General Assembly to appropriate funds for a specific purpose. So at the end of the day, it appears that we're going to need to move forward toward implementation with the outside chance that perhaps the General Assembly will more adequately address this funding need and or delay the required implementation. I know our board sent a letter to members of the appropriations committees, and I see that in the paper today that the Senate Appropriations Committee held a hearing on this issue yesterday. There were a number of questions asked by the senators of Acting Secretary Bookvar. A concern was also voiced during the conference call with respect to a couple of bills that apparently are in the process of being introduced in the state Senate and House that could strip counties of the ability to manage what's known as behavioral health choices and turn programming decisions over to the private sector managed care providers. I believe that we will want to keep a close watch on this in conjunction with the upcoming budget debate, and be prepared to explain to our state senators and representatives how this potential move away from local control could negatively impact and affect the cutting-edge programs that we've implemented, among others, to combat the opioid epidemic, including the OIC and the warm handoff program that's getting underway at all three of our hospitals. Jack Carroll, our executive director of the Cumberland Prairie Drug and Alcohol Commission, has already, detailed his concerns and opinion editorial that was published in the Carlisle Sentinel. And I expect that my understanding is that Jack's going to make a presentation to us at a finance meeting coming up here soon. Our county's Aging Advisory Board met last Friday. The good news from our seniors' point of view, as reported by Sandy Guerrieri, is that the governor in his budget proposal did not revisit or advocate for the consolidation of the rather small State Department of Aging into the much larger Department of Human Services. The governor has included in his budget a second-year $2 million increase in state funding to support protective services for our older citizens. There was significant discussion at the Aging Advisory Board meeting about the spike in reports of the need for protective services for our seniors in Cumberland County. Not so much from incidents of abuse, but from self-neglect. The vast majority of the reports relate to older citizens not taking care of themselves. In the meantime, the Office of Aging has put together, shows it my colleagues. The Office of Aging has put together a fantastic PowerPoint that was presented at last week's department head meeting, detailing all of the services that are available through our Office of Aging. And it's a good reminder of what all our Office of Aging does to assist our older citizens in need on a regular basis. The Capital Region Council of Governments met Monday night at Good Hope Fire Station in Hampton Township. Got some other things that should pass along here.
These full of goodies.
Yeah. Although I was unable to attend, the whole focus of Monday night's meeting was the ongoing pressing need to retain and recruit active volunteer firefighters throughout the region. This has been an issue that we've been facing for probably 3 decades or more. According to Gary Myers, the executive director of CAPCOG, 63 local municipal officials from 22 municipalities throughout the region attended Monday night's meeting. CAPCOG is now planning to seek a federal SAFER grant to support a regional fire service recruitment initiative similar to what Lancaster County has been doing for the past year or so. I have a Housing and Redevelopment Authority meeting at noon, and Harrisburg Area Transportation Study Coordinating meeting tomorrow morning. Carlisle Chamber was expected to be there tomorrow, but I understand they may now wait to attend the HATS meeting in April. I think they have scheduled. But Carlisle Chamber, generally, as you know, is very concerned and interested in the movement forward on the master plan for improving Interstate 81. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Herman. Commissioner Eichelberger.
I just have one follow-up question. Jim, this presentation, I just glancing through it, it's a very good PowerPoint, very interesting. Did they outline what they're going to do next? I mean, other than presenting this, I think a lot of this is known to people, but there doesn't seem to be a real mechanism in place to implement or to formulate or implement an action plan of any type. That's what I keep falling.
Unfortunately, Gary, I was not able to attend the meeting. I have been off and on in touch with Nate Silcox. Nate is the chair of the Public Safety Committee's, he's the chair of the Public Safety Committee of COG. And I know that, he's also integrally involved with the state, and there was just the, new report put out by the latest commission that was established by resolution. I served on the one way back when, Senate Resolution 60 Commission, that just had another study that was done, and essentially pretty much detailing what we've known for decades. Again, it's the issue of essentially where fire companies used to be the center of the community. A lot of activity, people used to hang out there at the fire stations. That's not happening anymore. A lot of our younger people, they're so involved in so many other things. They're not getting involved, and they're not stepping up. And we have, essentially volunteers that are aging out of the system. So recruitment and retention remains a big issue. I know I read it in the paper here where I'm going to follow up to find out why. I hope that they're getting involved with the CAPCOG efforts. I hope there's no duplication of it, but I saw where South Middleton, North Middleton, Carlisle Borough, and Dickinson Township are moving forward with some kind of a joint venture in terms of trying to address this issue. But, I think, I'm curious, Gary, I don't know whether this answers your question, I'm curious, Lancaster County has been doing major promotion of all 60 of their volunteer fire companies. And they've been advertising, for volunteers, and I don't know exactly, I think they may have gotten a safer grant. But I'm kind of curious as to what kind of progress Lancaster County has made. But it seems as though what CAPCOG wants to do is kind of follow that. See, but
in Lancaster, is it the county government that's doing it? Who's taking ownership of the issue?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't believe it's the county government. I think it's just their fire companies. And perhaps their municipal officials, I don't know. But this is going to continue to be an issue. And we've all talked about it. If they have to go to pay firefighters, we're looking at the largest municipal tax increase in state history. And I think, I'll still say probably for less protection, because you're not going to have a fire company in every municipality. Not if you go to pay. Okay, it's going to be way too expensive. So, the question is, what can we do to try to bolster the ranks of the volunteers? And I know I just read the paper too, where Silver Spring has adopted a tax credit for active volunteers. So those are some of the things that can happen. I still wish the state would step up and revisit what was in place for 1 year, and that was a state income tax credit. When you think about it, this is a critical public service that these volunteers are performing. It's a public service we can't do without. At the very least, they deserve a tax break. At the very least. And I think it should be state tax. It was nice for the legislature to allow the locals to provide a tax break, but it would have been nice for the state to also provide. Because pretty soon, you've got real money, got real savings, got real tax benefit of being an active volunteer. So,
I do think they have a page back here, what is needed next, and it has 3 bullet points. Recognition and acknowledgement of the problem. I think a lot of us are there and have been there. And don't just mean us, but a lot of folks involved. Committed cooperation to work together, municipal local governments working together, elected officials volunteer, and commitment to a planning, funding, and implementing, and then it drops off. I think we missed something. So, but it seems to me that you mentioned a number of, in Carlisle area, you got a number of municipalities working. Silver Spring's got its thing. There's a lot of piecemeal. There's a lot of things happening out there. And it seems to me that whoever takes ownership of it, at least at this point, needs to convene some type of shared discussion where everybody has a chance to put their ideas on the table and there be a structure established. So I don't know if we want to volunteer. To some degree, this was undertaken about 10 or 12 years ago by the Emergency Services Action Panel. We had a lot of fire companies in, or municipalities, and it was talk about.
We had the thanks program.
So we had that as well. Yeah. So,
we had the thanks program.
But we actually did convene a generalized discussion, and again, there was never an action plan where someone took ownership of the responsibility for it. And until that happens, I just feel like, as an old timer in this process, you know what I'm saying? The kind of going.
I know what you're saying.
But we've been on this track for a while.
Well,
we keep back to the same place.
It's kind of like deja vu to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I was involved, we put forward an effort at the old former West Shore College. Yeah. We actually had PSAs produced. We did a mailer, if you remember. We had billboards. Okay. But the problem is, it's like there has to be, and I think this is what I was talking to Gary about, Gary Myers. it needs to be continuous, ongoing. It's not once and done, and that's the problem. Is we seem to focus on this, and then it kind of like, okay, we move on to the next thing. Problem is, you need to have a consistent effort, and I agree, somebody needs to take ownership. I'm hoping it would be the COG. I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense for the COG to do it. So they're starting off with going after the safer grant. I think we want to have, we should have further discussions, at the COG level about it. This is I can see us having a, if you will, capital region effort here, including, and it should be like if you're going to try to recruit folks, you got to try to standardize the requirements, standardize the training. Hopefully you might be able to reach a point where just because you live in Mechanicsburg Borough, I live in East Mechanicsburg Township, doesn't necessarily mean that we wouldn't be able to join the force, and perhaps respond to a call in the other municipality. I mean, if there's an understanding of the equipment and it's standardized, that's part of the issue. But the main thing is manpower. I mean, it comes down to we can have all the shiny pieces of equipment, and we do, in the region. But if you don't have somebody to jump on the truck, or you can't jump, you can't ride back, but if you don't have somebody to respond to the fire, it doesn't really do you good. So what's happening now, in our case, especially during the daytime response, is you have mutual aid taking over, where this company can't get out, so they go to the next one. But it's going to continue to be a challenge.
Well, and I know you're very knowledgeable on this because you headed the public safety committee at the COG too. So we could talk about this for hours, but we need to have a bunch of people, the right people, at the table talking about it, and people who will make commitments to this. So I applaud the COG for initiating this conversation. But
I think Jerry Ozon from Hammond, I think he put the PowerPoint together.
Okay, that makes sense.
And he's been very involved in this, but there was a number of folks. But I think we need to again stay in touch with.
I think even though it's county-based, our emergency services action panel still could play some role in maybe that, even though we only convene them a few times a year. We should maybe offer that as a possible platform. But just my opinion on this, until COG is willing to go to their members and say, we're going to need a special assessment to do this, it's a very meaningful issue, it's important enough, and they get those commitments, I'm not sure where this goes, because they're going to need to have organizational capacity to do it, and they're going to need some money to make that move forward. Otherwise, it's going to continue spinning its wheels.
Yeah, I think that, so they're going for the grant now. Yeah. One of my conversation with Gary was, I would think that it should be something that they should be able to attain, because we're talking about a regional effort here, not just one little fire company. And so hopefully they can get some grant funding. But I agree with you. This needs to be ongoing, and probably I think where they're heading is a regional recruitment effort.
Great.
So. And that's where I think it makes a lot of sense, because this way, you're getting beyond the question of just this company or that company, or this municipality or that municipality. You're actually recognizing that it is a regional need. It's not just this company or the other. So, but yeah, we could talk about this for another 6 hours. Again, it is one of those issues, though, that is very difficult. And I've always been concerned that, once you start to pay firefighters, even the paid drivers, it turns into a slippery slope. Somebody will say, well, why the heck should I do this for free if so-and-so's getting paid?
We have something.
Yeah. So,
Okay, very interesting stuff. Challenge ahead.
yeah.
All right, thank you for
No
that.
problem.
I have very little update, just actually Kirk addressed most of did the recycling stuff. There's not really a whole lot more on the planning front, other than they're going to come in front of us for the, and actually I think that was the meeting that was scheduled for yesterday.
Yesterday, was a half full voice.
Yeah, I thought of that after Kirk talked to us, but so it was, so we're just rescheduling, but they sound like they're ready to be ready now, so. The only other thing I have is MHIDD meeting is today, I plan to be there, and we were all present at the economic development meeting this week. The reorganization took place and installed new officers, so that's a role that just for the benefit of others, that's a role for the membership of the corporation, which is made up of the commissioners. So we fulfill our obligation there. The CEO search continues. I believe we're entering the final phase on that, hopefully to conclude in March. If not March, then shortly thereafter. So I'll keep you apprised of how we do with that. We interview this Friday with another candidate. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Ashford. I would like to report that executive sessions were held on the following dates in 2019, February 12th at 1 p.m., February 14th at 1 p.m., both regarding personnel issues, February 14th at noon regarding negotiations. I would like to request an executive session be held directly after this meeting regarding personnel issues. Is there any other business before the commissioners today?
Sandy, I just wanted to ask you, just to go back to this item relative that came up under the nursing home. And I don't know, maybe, Vincent Gary, I couldn't recall, has this been discussed, was this discussed previously at one of our Claremont nursing home meetings? Okay, I don't either. So I would like it if we could get a little synopsis as to, how all this is going to benefit the county and why we need it. And I do think these are things that should be brought up, I think, initially in our policy review team meetings or Claremont nursing meetings. So, at the end of the day, it sounds like it's something that's important, it's something that would be beneficial, but I'd like to know what need we're meeting and specifically, and what, we were told it was a requirement. I don't quite understand if it was a requirement, why we weren't doing it before. So I just have some questions relative to this. Maybe it's in the contract, maybe there's more detail in the contract, I don't know. But I would like to know a little bit more about it. Anyway, that's just me.
And this is specifically aimed at the CNAs. We're talking about healthcare academy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, as much discussion as we've had regarding CNAs recently, it strikes me a little odd too that we don't have more awareness of this issue. So.
Well, the way I understood it, it wasn't necessarily just for the CNAs, it's for everybody.
No, I heard nursing as well.
Oh, is that right? Okay,
Yeah.
my mistake.
No, I agree, not just for that, but just in general. Some of these agenda items, we have this sheet of paper and that's it. I don't think we need a book, but maybe a half page of a description. This is what this is. This is how long the contract is. This is replacing whatever, if it's replacing anything. And that should be put on the responsibility of the person requesting the funds, not you. You know what I mean? Because some of this stuff, this is the way it is. Eat it.
Well, we routinely approve all kinds of new contracts from Claremont. Okay. And I guess I would kind of like, what's the big picture here? Where are we at? As opposed to, this is another thing we'd like to get, so anyway, on that one, I just like to know, it sounds like it's probably a good idea. I just like to know what needed. And not only that, but the employees need to, So once we approve the contract, you know, is there a program going to be in place to make sure that the employees all know about this training that's going to be available and educational? And this is something that they don't have, if it's actually replacing a requirement they used to have themselves, it's actually an additional benefit. And that's what they don't know.
You raise a good point, which, you know, we've had a lot, among ourselves, we've had a lot of discussion on Claremont's direction here. And there has been, you know, we don't have a sort of comprehensive plan that from the administrator that tells us where we're going. And therefore, we don't have an ability to take these components and relate them to something. And the latest example we heard from some of the employee feedback was, oh, they implemented this stuff to make it management's job easier for themselves. Well, that's not the entire story. But because they didn't have any information provided to them, they didn't realize we're doing some of these upgrades because they're important compliance requirements with the new managed care regimen. So, you know, we have employees out there who don't understand why they're being asked to do certain things, who feel that money's being spent on things that may or may not be important because we're not giving them the information, how it relates to the overall direction of the organization. So we do need to have something from Bob that really lays out, you know, here's where we're going in the next 6 months, the next 12 months. So it's pivotal at this point in the nursing homes evolution that we be able to justify these things and make people understand why we're doing what we're doing.
I do believe he has a presentation coming up, so I will also convey this message.
Thanks.
Thanks.